What's going on, YouTube? It's James with Shyhammer Fantasy, and I got an interesting video today. I got the breakdown of the Adepticon 2024 Enter the Badlands, Battle for the Badlands tournament pack. So this is something that you're probably seeing on the screen. I don't know which way it's going to be, one of those ways. But this is basically going over what they're doing for the Adepticon 2024 for the Old World Tournament. Now, the reason I bring this up is because there's going to be a lot of tournaments coming out, and this is one of the first. I know Brawler Bash is going on the East Coast, but this is one of the first major tournaments that are using rules in the United States for this for the Old World, and it's kind of interesting to see. I had a lot of questions coming into this, so now that I have an understanding of what I read here, that it could be, it could shape how the tournaments will go on from in the future. This is going to be a testing round. This one and Brawler Bash, I think, are both going to be testing grounds to see what's working and what's not working in tournaments. And the reason I bring that up is because in a tournament scenario, how do you play, like, oh, is it only points killed? If it's only points killed and not victories versus losses, at that point you just go ham and just beat the shit out of everybody, and it doesn't matter what you lose as long as you kill everybody else on the other person's side. Or you know, get an X amount of points. So at that being said, like I said, the tournaments could vary differently, you know. Adepticon, let's see, this as you're reading it right in front of me, it's in front of yourself, you can see that it's the event schedule. It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock for registration. I'm going to try to get videos in. I'm going to try to get, so you guys can see what else is going on at Adepticon besides the Old World. There's hundreds of games going on, different tournaments, different open tables, and just a lot of people there. Alright, so players will play 3 150-minute games with breakdowns in between rounds. Okay, so that's 2 hours in what, 20 minutes, 2 hours and a half. So basically, that's about, should be average. I don't know if anybody's gonna. There's gonna be a lot of tables, I think, that are not gonna get past, you know, several turns because of how new it is to a lot of people. And a lot of people are going to just be looking up rules and arguing rules a lot, I think. All players are expected to abide the policy, no problem. Models used in the Army must use tabletop standard 3-color minimum with basing. That's no problem for me, but I've seen some gray armies show up at tournaments. Alright, but Adepticon has that on their model policy anyways. If illegal units or rules violations are found in the list, the model's violation will be removed. That's interesting. So if you bring an illegal list, if you bring a goblin character with heavy armor, or let's say a wizard with heavy armor, plate mail, or whatever, and you can't have that, they will basically take out your model for having an illegal model, more or less. Tournament points may be deducted. Awarding eligibility may be forfeited. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Judges and officers' rulings are final. Arguments of poor conduct and players will not be tolerated. That makes a lot of sense. There are some people who will try hard so bad that they will get the judges in and still disagree with the judges. I've seen that on every level. So it does happen, but just remember the judge has final say. Scoring. I'm actually happy with the scoring for a couple reasons. Number one, battle points. You're earning a total of 20 points for a major win if you blow out your opponent. 15 points if you just win. 10 points for a draw. 5 points for a loss, and then 0 points if you walked out on the game, if you withdrew. So no matter what, you're getting 5 points. If you lose, you're going to get a minimum of 5 points, okay? Most people are going to probably see around the 15-point and 5-point range, all right? A major win, I don't know. They don't have here put what is a major win. Is it more than 50% of your opponent's army, or, you know, like what consists of a major win? There's no objectives. I don't know if there's objectives, but there's nothing showing that you would earn additional points. So it's about the kill points at this point. Paint score, 25 points max. Scored on a painting rubric. I used to see these back in the day. During the 9th Age, they kind of phased out painting, just left it to the game. So I'm really excited to see painting back. It leaves people who are good hobbyists you know, it gives them an honor for being, you know, there, more or less. Gives them more reason to, you know, show up with their beautiful models. Points are awarded through criteria including basing, conversions, freehand, display board, weathering, decals, and above paint, basic level painting techniques. So most people are going to probably get, usually on like these painting rubrics, it's like it's a checklist, and the checklist will say 3-color minimum, check. You know, base with more than one terrain type, check. You know, and then it goes, are the banners highly detailed? Check. Are they free-handed? Check. And then as you go through, that's how you get to the maximum 25 points. Usually, most people will hover. There's like a soft cap at like 20 or something like that, or 15 to 20, and then those extra 5 are like what pushes people over the edge. And then usually, whoever gets 25 is usually the best painter in the event. So that's from my perspective. I don't know if that's exactly how it's going to be, but that's usually how they do it. But you could get a maximum of 25 points, even if you're not the best painter and you have like a really well painted, really well converted army. Sportsmanship, 30 points. This one should be a given to everybody. It should be. But there's some people who really struggle getting maximum sportsmanship points. It'll cost them tournaments sometimes. Each player can score up to 10 points per game, and with the enjoyment of the sportsmanship infractions resulting to the reduction of the total score. Basically, don't be a dick. That's simple. Don't be a dick. All right. All right. Let's see. List composition. This is where it gets kind of fun. Armies will comprise of 2,000 points under the following restrictions. When building your army, use the most up-to-date old world rules, and then they have like a cutoff date on that too. And basically, they will allow FAQ, errata, and legacy PDFs all in this tournament. So they say it in the next bullet point, legacy PDFs are allowed, but they will not allow allies or mercenaries at this event. So that's interesting. I was hoping to see allies. I was hoping that, because that kind of throws like a wrench in a lot of army builds. So I was hoping to see something like that. They did not go with it. They basically just took out allies entirely, and that's fine. I think you're going to see it in some tournaments, not all tournaments, and I feel like this might be the norm. But we'll see what happens in the future. Okay. Limitation of 0 to 3 is applied to any unit that is not otherwise restricted by player composition. So basically, besides like a Mangler Squig needs, you only get 1 or 2 of them, depending on if you have Night Goblin characters. This is saying you can't take 3 if you couldn't already take 3, right? But it also says that you could only take 3 of one kind, so you can't come over there with a flying circus list of what is it called? The dwarf gyrocopters just shooting up, like 18 gyrocopters just shooting everybody. So they basically limited that. It does limit certain builds. It's like Night Goblins for one. Night Goblins is something that is, they want to bring multiple Night Goblins, multiple fanatics, and that just kind of just nerfs that build. But you know, it does block usage of certain nasty metagame breaking lists. So that's cool. I appreciate that. And I think this is the rule that GW threw out there once too, and at one of their tournaments, so it makes sense. Each player must have their list available at the event for your opponent to review physically. Army list should be presented in an easy-to-read format, including which models are general, all relevant weapon selections, upgrades, blah, 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 blah. You could use, they recommend Old World Builder, but you could also use New Recruit and Battle Scribe. However, correct points, unit selections, and upgrades are still responsibility, I think it's supposed to say. I think it's supposed to say responsibility. It says reasonability of the player. So anyways, they basically use Old World Builder or New Recruit. I use New Recruit personally. I love New Recruit. This is something that I get it, that Adepticon's like, hey, bring your list here. With New Recruit, if it took over the meta for the tournaments, you could easily just submit it in there and it's locked in there and everybody could see it at any time. But this is not the case right now. The case is that there's multiple ways to submit a list, and people are going to want to print lists. I thought we were moving past this. I remember back in the day, we used to have to print 5 lists, and that was a pain in the ass, wasted a lot of paper. So, and then I would always come home with people's lists, and I'm like, why do I got all these fucking lists in my house? Anyways, all right. March 16th is the cutoff for any of the rules updates. So if there's a new book that comes out or a new item that drops all of a sudden, it doesn't matter after the 16th. You only have to just submit what's available now. All lists must be submitted to the Best Coast pairings. Yada yada yada. If you request any changes in list, you could do it via email, so they're not against it. Just, you know, maybe if you have an illegal unit or something like that. And it's recommended that any players with rules questions not covered in the FAQ seek out a TO before the event. You know, I think one of the major ones is drilled. How drilled works, where you could go in marching formation and then switch and then charge. That's one of the things that was brought up a lot, and it's argued both ways. You know. Now the awards, it looks like 6 awards. One is for the overall score. You get the highest score, and then your tiebreakers are your sportsmanship and painting. Okay, but that is the best overall. So you could be best in sportsmanship and painting, but if you lost by, like, say 3 points on highest overall, it looks like that you just don't get that. That is called the Ever Chosen. The Tillian Maestro is the highest painting score, and then it goes tiebreakers is player choice, then sportsmanship, then battle. Paragon of Virtue is player with the most player choice votes and sportsmanship votes. So this is basically a player's pick. You know what I mean? This one goes to the players who everybody's like, I like their army, and the guy was cool as hell to play with, but he didn't win shit. That's what that guy gets, the Paragon of Virtue. And then you got best factions, and the factions are just separated through order and destruction. And then that is, I'm assuming, based on what army book you have. They don't have a list here on what's order and what's destruction based on the legacy PDFs, though. I understand the Ravening Hordes, and I understand the whatever the other book is called. Those two are evenly split, but basically you got armies that are like lizardmen. Where does that fit? Is that order or is that destruction? That's something interesting. And then, yeah, that's about it, man. Like I said, this is a quick video. I just want to show you what the Adepticon pack looks like. And, yeah, I'm going to be heading out to Indiana next week, or this week, actually, in a couple days, to do their tournament as well. It's a one-day tournament. But, yeah, if you guys have any info on other tournaments coming up, leave it down below. And hope that was informational. Peace.